Hi, I'm Milo. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior? Super Monkey Ball might just be one of my favorite video games of all time. Could you tell? Super Monkey Ball 2 was one of my first ever video games, and I hold so many fond memories of it. I mean, just look at Ai. He's so cute and fun and doesn't love his wife. It all started in the year 2000 with the Sega-owned development studio Amusement Vision and its president Toshihiro Nagoshi. At the time, the CEO of Sega had complained that games were costing too much to make, and Nagoshi wanted to prove that it was possible to make simple and inexpensive games. He felt that many Japanese arcade games were too complex and hard for newcomers to understand, and he wanted to make a game that players could immediately understand upon seeing. And then he made Yakuza. His idea was to make a game similar to marble mazes, where you tilt the entire stage in order to move a ball towards a goal point. The team created multiple demos with plain spheres or simple illustrations, but all were difficult to see movement in and marked visually unappealing. So they put a fucking monkey inside. The obvious next step.
But what do we call it? My God.
Monkey Ball was released as an arcade game in June of 2001. The premise was pretty simple. You're a monkey in a ball, and you tilt the stage in order to move your monkey towards the goal while collecting bananas for more points. If you make it into the goal within the time limit, you progress to the next stage. There are also secret goals, which are harder to reach but will result in a higher score, as well as skipping a few levels. Monkey Ball was spiced up into Super Monkey Ball and released for the Nintendo GameCube in September of 2001. And the world just hasn't been the same since September of 2001. This was right after the failure of the Sega Dreamcast, when Sega decided to abandon hardware development and focus entirely on being a third-party software developer. But why the GameCube? Well, Nagoshi expressed that the staff at Amusement Vision actually felt more comfortable developing on Nintendo's hardware than even Sega's, and supposedly even joked that Nintendo was the only company that the team didn't hate. Which explains why this game fucking sucks! For Super Monkey Ball, new backgrounds and level themes were added, along with reflections and particle effects. The developers also added party games, a fourth monkey named Gon Gon, and a sponsorship? I have no idea why they did this, but the early Super Monkey Ball games contain a load of references to the Dole brand of bananas, from sneaking their logo into stages to putting it on every single banana in the game. I honestly don't know why, but these silly little logos add so much damn charm to these games, and I honestly can't imagine Monkey Ball without them. I prefer Chiquita. Super Monkey Ball's main game mode is a continuous string of levels played in one sitting with up to 4 players taking turns to see who can get the best score. There's also competition mode, where 2 to 4 players play stages split screen at the same time and race to complete them. The main game consists of 3 difficulties: beginner, advanced, and expert. Each mode having 10, 30, and 50 levels respectively. If you complete a mode without using a continue, which is when you lose all 3 of your lives and get to keep playing but your score is reset, you'll be rewarded with bonus levels called extra stages. Completing the extra stages for all 3 of these modes will unlock a secret 4th master mode. Good luck. You see, Super Monkey Ball is a perfect example of the phrase, easy to learn, difficult to master. The game's controls are simple and intuitive, and are extremely easy for anyone to understand, which is exactly what Nagoshi's goal was, but the game's levels can be brutally difficult. I have spent hours on some of these levels. However, it never feels unfair. Every failure feels deserved, which makes every victory that much more satisfying. The game also includes a fun end credits minigame that you play after every challenge tier. You roll around while dodging the names of the people who worked on the game and collecting bananas. It's a fun little game, but it can get repetitive, so you can skip it if you want. Once you've played it once or twice, you don't really need to play it again, but it's nice to have. Super Monkey Ball also included 6 minigames that we'll talk about later. In August of 2002, not even a full year after Super Monkey Ball's initial Japanese release in September of 2001, Super Monkey Ball 2 released with a bunch of new features and levels. Super Monkey Ball 2 introduced a single-player story mode that contains 10 worlds and over 100 new levels with animated cutscenes, while Super Monkey Ball 1's main game mode returns with new levels rebranded as Challenge Mode. The story's plot is pretty standard for a children's game. The evil Dr. Bad Boon flies down in his giant blimp and steals all the bananas from Jungle Island, threatening to let everyone starve. Oh, this is just like Viva a piñata! The monkeys chant a magical spell that puts them in balls so they can chase down Bad Boon, who says he'll consider returning the bananas if Mimi agrees to marry him. Mimi says she'd rather starve than marry him, in which Bad Boon responds by saying, "Your friends are a bad influence. I'm going to drown them all." Bad Boon places a bomb in a nearby volcano in order to cause it to erupt and sink the island, and after Baby exclaims, "Dis is a bomb," Gon punts it into Bad Boon's ship, which explodes and falls into the ocean. They all get swallowed by a whale like in Mr. Penis, but they escape by beating the shit out of its ribs until it spits them out its blowhole. The monkeys somehow end up on Kiki Island amusement park and assume that Bad Boon's secret lair is hidden in the park. Inside the lair, Bad Boon builds Ai robots and plans to use them to steal more bananas and frame Ai for his crimes. Bad Boon leaves a polite note outside his lair asking no one to enter, but the monkeys enter anyway, which means Ai is a felon and should be tried as one, damn it! Bad Boon decides to handle the intruders himself using his shrink ray and holds the monkeys hostage in the forest while forcing Mimi to go on a date with him. Bad Boon realizes he is stinky and decides to go take a bath, so the monkeys plot against him while hiding in his laundry machine. They climb into his clothing and tickle him until he changes them back to normal size, causing Bad Boon to exclaim he feels he is going to die. Ai and friends then destroy all of Bad Boon's robots and his factory catches on fire, leaving Bad Boon no choice but to flee to his secret space base and execute his final and most mischievous plan. Fire a laser at Earth that causes all bananas to taste like curry. The monkeys blow up Bad Boon's space base and save the planet's bananas. And various crimes later, we have completed the campaign. The game's story is pretty all over the place, but its juiciest secrets come from the game's manual. Here's a few excerpts from the manual's characters section. Dr. Bad Boon's assistant is completely covered in mystery, and nobody even knows his true name. He is bashful and follows Bad Boon wherever he goes without complaint. Ai spends his free time thinking about bananas, to the point that it appears he loves bananas more than Mimi. Mimi likes to decorate herself with flowers that have a nice scent, and is discontent with Ai's relationship with bananas. Bad Boon is an evil genius who falls in love with Mimi, despite her being married to Ai. In order to win over Mimi, Bad Boon goes back in time to when the game takes place, in order to prevent Ai and Mimi's marriage. Baby is the child of Ai and Mimi, who comes from the future to stop Bad Boon's plot to prevent his parents' marriage. Super Monkey Ball covers the grandfather paradox. If Baby does not complete his mission, he will cease to exist. Why isn't this addressed in the game? I found this out at like 2 in the morning when I decided to flip through the manual, and when I woke up the next day, I had to double check to make sure it wasn't a fucking fever dream. And what makes it worse is that I've never seen anyone else address this. So either this is such common knowledge that no one feels the need to talk about it, or nobody else knows. The gameplay is quite similar to the first games. The biggest difference is the Wikipedia page states that the monkeys are trapped in the balls. The plot thickens. The game introduces new gimmicks, like switches that cause parts of the stage to move, and portals that can warp you to different parts of the stage. The camera is also at a different angle, but it also has its own end credits minigame with a similar premise. You dodge the names of the developers while collecting bananas, but this time you can collect stars that allow you to grow big, or big bananas that are worth 10 bananas. Like the last one, this one plays at the end of every challenge tier, as well as at the end of story mode, and can be skipped if you don't want to play it. And have I mentioned the music? Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 both have phenomenal soundtracks with loads of standout hits. Super Monkey Ball 2 has individual tracks for every world theme, minigame, and minigame difficulty for the games with different difficulty settings. These songs are honestly amazing. If you get bored of the main game modes, there are 12 total party games. Monkey Race, Fight, Target, Billiards, Bowling, and Golf return from Super Monkey Ball 1 with tweaks, while Monkey Tennis, Baseball, Soccer, Boat Race, Shot, and Dogfight are added as entirely new games. Have you ever wondered what would happen if you gave a chimp a machine gun? Monkey Shot sets out to answer that question, and Jesus Christ, the horror. Monkey Shot is an arcade-style shooter that's quite a bit of fun, and honestly, I remember it being quite challenging as a kid. You have to conserve ammo while also taking down all the enemies before they damage you. If you run out of ammo, you have to helplessly spam the A button to get a couple spare bullets before something kills you. Monkey Golf is stupid, and I hate it. Monkey Bowling is stupider and I hater it. The direction of the ball moves back and forth and you have to hit the A button at the right time in order to roll the ball towards the pins. It's miserable. The game does allow you to spin the ball to make up for your bad aim, but this game was just not fun for me. Monkey Race is like Mario Kart for when you can't afford Mario Kart. Monkey Target is like darts. The only difference is that you're in the ocean and you fly a plane and it's not darts. This one's good. I put that down! Monkey Dogfight puts your monkeys flying in the air role-playing World War II aerial combat, and it's actually a lot of fun. You can shoot bullets or missiles at the other monkeys, and your goal is to shoot the others as much as possible to get the highest score at the end of the game. Monkey Fight is what I imagine happens in Fight Club. I don't know, I haven't seen it. But 4 monkeys punch at each other on a floating arena and attempt to knock each other off. Once again, another solid minigame. Monkey Billiards is just billiards, but the environment is honestly really cool, and the song made for it is so good. Monkey Tennis is a fairly basic tennis game that honestly has nothing to do with monkeys, but it's a solid enough minigame. Monkey Baseball is baseball, but it's not. Monkey Soccer is, once again, just soccer. Or football. I'm not trying to start shit. Monkey Boat Race is abysmal. It controls poorly using the triggers to row and is frustrating and unfun. What am I doing wrong? Am I just bad at this? I wanted to keep playing so I could say I gave it a more honest try, but I also wanted to not be playing Monkey Boat Race anymore. Which do you think I chose? Okay, we have officially covered the first 2 games in the franchise. How are we looking on time? Shit. After the original Super Monkey Ball games, not you, Super Monkey Ball Jr. was released for the Game Boy Advance on November 19th, 2002 in North America, in PAL on April 4th, 2003, and never in Japan. Junior was developed by Realism and is basically just a lesser port of the original Super Monkey Ball. The game allows you to use the Game Boy's A and B buttons to speed up or slow down movement in order to make controlling with a D-pad easier. This game is actually really impressive, and it's one of very few games to make use of the Game Boy Advance's 3D graphical capabilities. It looks good! On October 7th, 2003, Super Monkey Ball was released for the N-Gage, which... yeah, there isn't much available about this game, but from the few existing online videos, it seems to be just a similar but lesser build of Super Monkey Ball Jr. Super Monkey Ball Deluxe is a platform video game developed and published by Sega. It was released for the PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2005. The game Wait, developed by Sega? What happened to Amusement Vision? Amusement Vision was? What, did they die? Yes, in 2004, Amusement Vision merged into Sega, and Deluxe followed shortly after. Super Monkey Ball Deluxe is a combination of Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2 that was ported to the 2 consoles Amusement Vision joked about hating. But Milo, you may be asking. This just sounds like a re-release of 2 games you really enjoy. Why are you so against it? Because they somehow managed to fuck it up! Okay, I'm overreacting. This game isn't all around bad. It's just bad in so many little places that it makes me ill. It's like, if you give me a piece of bread covered in mold, and then a piece of bread that has a bunch of little pieces of mold, they're both fucking gross. Oh boy, I can't wait to play fun sets of 10, 30, and 50 levels in one sitting. Oh, the challenge modes from 1 and 2 have been combined, making beginner 40 stages long, advanced 70, and expert 100. Let's also not forget that each of these modes has 20 extra levels added on top of them. Master mode has 20 levels, but who cares? You aren't unlocking it. There's no way you're beating 120 expert levels without a continue. Yes, I completely understand they wanted to include all the levels, but really? Was this the best way? Put them in separate modes. Have beginner 1 and 2, advanced 1 and 2. It's not that hard. Expert being 50 levels long was supposed to be a long challenge for hardcore players. And now you have 60 total in beginner, and you expect casual players to enjoy that? People don't have that kind of time. They have jobs! In case you forgot, you cannot exit and resume challenge mode. It has to be done all in one sitting. The game is also visually downgraded. The cutscenes are now pre-rendered, compressed, and lack color. Not that I could tell anyway. Some visual effects are gone too, like reflections on surfaces. Also, the bananas are not... Dole? What happened? Did they break up? Hey, where are you going? It's like I don't even know who you are anymore. It's like you're a completely different company. Yes, for whatever reason, all mentions of Dole were removed from Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. There's speculation that this was related to a pesticide lawsuit that Dole was involved in from 2003 to 2010, but nobody knows for sure. Deluxe adds a bunch of levels to every world in story mode, but only requires you to beat 10 of them to progress. Am I the only one who thinks this is kinda lame? Sure, these are well-designed levels, and they make the game more accessible, but for me, the joy of Monkey Ball has always been sitting down and playing hard levels over and over again until I get them right. If I can just skip them, then what's the point? I love these stages, and I want to play all of them. Except Arthropod. I fucking hate Arthropod. But at least the game still sounds fine, right? But why is it so empty? Where's the ball rolling sound? Why did they get rid of the ball rolling sound? After Deluxe, more like the lame. We got Super Monkey Ball Touch and Roll, released for the Nintendo DS on December 1st, 2005. The game uses the Nintendo DS's touchscreen as a controller and features II's ass. Most of the game's levels are once again recycled from Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, with a couple of newcomers. This was starting to become a problem, as many Monkey Ball releases were featuring little to no new content and instead repeatedly reusing content from older games. Why keep making the same game over and over again? It's like if Van Gogh painted Starry Night and then said, let's do this 20 more times. Well, I'll be damned. You can use the D-pad or the touchscreen to control this game, and they work. The game actually feels pretty decent, but when you get to the harder levels that require more precision, the game kinda falls apart. The control scheme doesn't offer nearly enough precision for the game, which is made up for in some of the levels by making them easier than their GameCube counterparts, but some of the levels are still really difficult because of the controls. Touch and Roll's main mode has a format that combines story mode and challenge mode. There are 12 worlds, each consisting of 10 levels, and you have to complete each world in one go. I'm personally not a huge fan of this change. There's also an end credits minigame that involves you throwing your monkey at the names of the developers and trying to hit as many letters as possible to get a high score. It's quite cute and fun. The first time. It plays after every single world and lasts almost 5 full minutes. At least you can skip it. You can't skip it. Oh my god, this is miserable! Half the time I end up finishing a world and then setting down my DS and just doing something else while I wait for it to end so I can play more. I'm doing it right now! However, Touch and Roll is an important turning point in the franchise, as it not only featured II's ass, but it's the first game in the franchise to drop the art style of the originals in favor of a more cartoony look. Following Touch and Roll, we got... Bear with me, because this game's release is kind of confusing. Adventure released on June 30th, 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation Portable, and July 14th for the GameCube in the PAL region. In North America, Adventure released on August 1st, 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and GameCube, and August 29th on the PlayStation Portable. These release dates might be the least confusing thing about this game. Super Monkey Ball Adventure was a departure from the previous Super Monkey Ball games, and developed by Traveler's Tales. The game is more of an open-world 3D adventure, as opposed to the series' traditional level-based puzzles. If the last sentence puzzled you, it should. Some deem this game the worst in the franchise. That's the end of the sentence. Ai and friends are having a barbecue when an air glider crash lands on the island, carrying Prince Abe of Monktropolis and Prince Didi of Kongrila. These two kingdoms are great rivals, and the disappearance of their prince and princess has brought sorrow and naysayers to the Five Kingdoms. Hold on a sec. Imagine controlling an open-world adventure game like Monkey Ball. How did this game make it past the pitch meeting? Conceptually, it's awful, but in execution, it sucks. Not only is this an adventure game played like Monkey Ball, but it's an adventure game played like bad Monkey Ball. This game is probably the worst controlling game in the franchise so far. It feels like garbage. This explains a lot, actually. Occasionally, you'll run into gates that can only be opened by playing puzzle stages similar to the original Super Monkey Ball games. Why? So the developers understood that the puzzle stages were what made Monkey Ball interesting, so they decided to just add a bunch of boring shit between them and make the game control like garbage, so playing the puzzle stages isn't even fun now. Also, what the fuck is a naysayer? They're just these weird nightmare-looking fuckers that desaturate the game when you get close to them. There's also abilities you can unlock through Monkey Chance, which is just a ripoff of the Ocarina mechanic from Ocarina of Time. One of the abilities is the boxing glove from Monkey Fight. Do you use that to fight the naysayers? Nope, you just run into the giant target on their stomach. The boxing glove is for breaking rocks, of course. The game is full of dumb side quests that involve you just doing tasks for other monkeys around the island. I tried this one for the beekeeper where I had to go recollect all of his bees. I collected all the bees I could find, but he said there was more bees out there, so I decided to come back to the bees later, and he responded by releasing all the bees. According to Wikipedia, you must complete 60% of the side quests on each island before proceeding to the next island. I stopped playing this game after 37 minutes, but according to Wikipedia, quote, "If the game is 100% completed, a visit from Ai from the future will tell how the monkeys are inside magic energy balls, which are invented by Ai and Gongon from a later time period, which is the reason the monkeys have balls. Baby returns home with this version of his father." What? Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz released for the Wii on these dates. Fuck you. The game used the Wii Remote's tilt controls to control your monkey, which brought up some problems. Super Monkey Ball's appeal is its difficult puzzles that require precise inputs. The game was always hard, but never unfair. Since motion controls aren't as precise as a regular controller, the game was designed around the gimmick, resulting in a lot of levels being made easier to make up for the lack of precision. Barriers were added to the sides of stages to prevent you from falling off, and a jump button was added. There's also enemies on some stages, and a boss fight at the end of every world for some reason. The motion controls combined with stupid bosses creates an all-around bad experience. This is even worse when you know that this is the last game in the franchise that the game's creator, Toshihiro Nagoshi, worked on. This game could be annoying sometimes, but not because of well-designed levels like previous entries. Sometimes I would mess up and just think, God, what if I was controlling this with any other rectangle? That would be preferred. The game also attempted to capitalize off of the Wii's minigame party craze and included 50 shallow minigames. No. Banana Blitz is like herpes. If you don't have it, don't get it. However, Banana Blitz does have one saving grace. Yeah! This game introduced a couple of new mainstay characters to the franchise, including Yan Yan and Doctor. And I may be biased, but Yan Yan might be the best character ever created. Ever. However, this comes with another awful addition to the franchise, that being character stats. These make every character control differently, and result in the overall controls not being fine-tuned enough. This addition stinks, especially for the speedrun and high score communities. Over the next few years, Super Monkey Ball received multiple now extinct mobile games, including Super Monkey Ball Tip and Tilt, Super Monkey Ball iOS, Super Monkey Ball Tip and Tilt 2, Super Monkey Ball 2 iOS, and Super Monkey Ball 2 Sakura Edition. These games are hard to play now. But even after all of these releases, fans of the series remained hopeful for a new Super Monkey Ball game in the style of the originals. And in February of 2010,
Their dreams were crushed.
Step and Roll used the Wii balance board as a controller, following in the footsteps of Banana Blitz, and ultimately resulted in another weak entry to the series. The game received very mixed reviews, with most complaining that the game essentially does nothing new for the series. And they're right, except for one odd banana sponsorship. Welcome back, Dole.
Chiquita? Yes!
Over 180 million Super Monkey Ball Step and Roll branded Chiquita bananas were sold in grocery stores nationwide as a part of this promotion, but nothing was featured in the game. In 2011, Super Monkey Ball Ticket Blitz was released in arcades, followed by Super Monkey Ball 3D for the 3DS in March. This game once again suffers from lots of babied down level designs. Lots of these levels are extremely basic and include paths and barriers in an attempt to prevent the player from falling off the stage, which removes most of the game's challenge. Take this one with a grain of salt, however, as I wasn't actually able to get a hold of this game and play it myself. I'm going strictly off of reviews and videos I've seen online. On June 14th, 2012, Super Monkey Ball Banana Splits released for the PS Vita, and my god, these titles are so similar that I doubt you'll remember which was which in 5 minutes. The game allowed for motion controls as well as joystick controls, although many felt the motion controls weren't precise enough for the game's stages. Speaking of the game's stages, they look surprisingly okay. Sure, there's a handful of reused stages, but a lot of them seem to be actually difficult compared to prior entries. Side note, I didn't know how to sneak this into this section, but the Japanese release of Banana Splits featured a code to download an exclusive stage based around Japanese supermodel Yuki Kawamura, which raised the game's rating from A to everyone to C for 15+ in Japan. Banana Splits was a step in the right direction, but after so many bland and forgettable entries to the series, Super Monkey Ball had lost a lot of its popularity. The game failed commercially and received lots of mixed reviews due to a lack of originality and simplicity. Yes, Super Monkey Ball was popular due to its simplicity, but you can't continue to pump out the same simple idea without any new additions. After a while, people will lose interest, and sadly it seems they did. After a mobile phone release in 2014 titled Super Monkey Ball Bounce, the series fell dormant, and Banana Splits was the last original Super Monkey Ball game released to this date. But that doesn't mean it was the last Super Monkey Ball game. In July of 2019, Sega announced the release of a new Super Monkey Ball game for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and Nintendo Switch. Its name? Oh, no, I didn't mean it! God, what if I was controlling this with any other rectangle? In an attempt to dip their toes back into the water, Sega decided to re-release Banana Blitz, titling it Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD. Because of course they did.
It's a brand new Super Monkey Ball game!
No, it fucking isn't! The only challenge provided by this game was the fact that it used motion controls. Hell, the entire game is designed around them. So controlling this game with a joystick completely defeats the purpose. Like, yeah guys, let's play Wii Sports. With a keyboard! Out of every Super Monkey Ball game they could have possibly ported over, why this one? The answer is simple. It was the cheapest. This isn't a joke. In fact, when asked, this was the answer given by the game's director. This was both a smart and terrible move. It allowed Sega to see if people were still interested in the Super Monkey Ball franchise. If the game flunked, then they wouldn't lose a lot of money compared to as if they had spent a lot to remaster a different title. But to the Super Monkey Ball fanbase, Banana Blitz was still just Banana Blitz, ugh. Why would you want to buy that game? Again? Sure, the game featured Sonic as a playable character for the first time in the franchise's history, which is really cool, but was that really enough to make us buy it? But this might be Super Monkey Ball's last chance. According to Sega, if this game flopped, we might never see another Super Monkey Ball game again. If we wanted to see the franchise succeed, did we really have a choice? So, Super Monkey Ball fans all over the world begrudgingly handed over their money and prayed. on June 15th, 2021, a remake of the original 3 Super Monkey Ball titles was officially announced.
Yes! Damn it!
This game looked like everything we could have ever wanted, a real Super Monkey Ball experience on modern platforms. But rumors floated around that Banana Mania wasn't the game that we wanted. Some footage from trailers appeared to show a jump button in the game, which would make a lot of stages monumentally easier. There were also talks of stages being reworked to be easier, which was kinda concerning. Nobody knew for sure if Banana Mania would stay true to the original games. We just had to hope. On October 5th, 2021, Banana Mania released worldwide, and after multiple shipment delays for my pre-order, I finally got to play it. Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania is a combined remake of Super Monkey Ball 1, 2, and Yuck. Thankfully, Deluxe's problems are mostly absent here. The game includes separate challenge modes for Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2, and Deluxe's levels can be played in a separate game mode. But what about the levels themselves? Well, they actually stay extremely true to their GameCube counterparts. A handful of the levels are reworked to be more forgiving, including Arthropod.
Yeah!
However, if you really want to play the untweaked versions, the game offers Original Stage Mode, where you can play the original, unaltered stages. And that jump button from before is actually an optional unlockable that can just be used for fun, which means this game is, at its core, a true fun Super Monkey Ball experience. Right? Well, for every one thing this game gets right, it seems to get one wrong too. For example, Super Monkey Ball 2's entire story mode is present, but the cutscenes have been dumbed down to these simple and repetitive shorts that honestly are completely gibberish unless you know the original story. The game adds a free camera control, but the rest of the game's controls aren't nearly as tight as the original games, and the control sticks have some dead zone problems. One of the more controversial changes among fans is the removal of the lives system. Instead of having to restart challenge mode if you die too many times, Banana Mania lets you bang your head against the wall for as long as you need to.
This is awesome!
There's a bit of a split in the community where some think this makes the game too easy, while others think the live system is outdated. And don't get upset, but I personally think this is a good thing, god damn it. Not having to restart and replay every prior level when you die just to try the level you're stuck on a few more times is a great change, and I think it should be standard. Every minigame from the original games is present, but some of the physics just feel off, and they can be awkward to play at times. Which is wild, considering the original's minigames felt mostly fine to control 20 years ago. Banana Mania offers some fun third-party characters as in-game unlockables, like Sonic, Tails, Beat, and Kazuya, as well as DLC characters like Hello Kitty, Morgana, and Suezo. But you can't use them in minigames, and they randomly delisted the DLC characters a year later with no warning. Look, I understand if there was a licensing problem with Hello Kitty, but you own the other 2 characters. Why would you delist them? And it still says you can buy them on the website a year later. Challenge mode returns and is separated into games 1 and 2 like I suggested before, but for some reason you can't play them multiplayer anymore? Why? It was literally just pass and play. Was that really that hard to incorporate? Scores are also completely absent from this game, which isolates a large portion of the Monkey Ball community, which literally has its roots in the arcade and competing for high scores. This game is so confusing to me. It's like every 5 minutes a member of the dev team said,
Hey, watch this.
The game also includes a list of special modes, including Reverse Mode, where you play select stages backwards, Dark Banana Mode, where you have to avoid collecting bananas, Golden Banana Mode, where you have to collect every banana, Original Stage Mode, which includes the original version of every tweaked stage, and DX Mode, which includes every stage from Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. The game also includes DLC packs that allow you to use models of the characters based on the GameCube versions, as well as the music from the original GameCube versions. Overall, this game is pretty solid, and I'd probably place it just below the originals in a ranking of the games. If you're new to the franchise, Banana Mania is a pretty good place to start. However, if you have the ability to, I would definitely recommend starting with the 1 and 2 on the GameCube.
Alright, it's now 2024 and you are officially caught up on the complete history of the Super Monkey Ball franchise. Unless they announce another game while I'm making this video. Damn it. Okay, but last minute note, this is super exciting. This is the first original Super Monkey Ball game in a decade. I's new look is awesome, the levels look interesting, and overall, I'm just really excited to see what the Monkey Ball team is cooking up for us. I am a little disappointed that it's a Switch exclusive, but who knows? Maybe they'll come to different platforms later down the line. It's also extremely concerning that high scores appear to be absent from this game, and they've teased the return of individual character stats. This is especially alarm-raising considering the website mentions multiple DLC characters who may later get delisted. Having the best speedrun build locked behind a limited time paywall sounds awful, and I really hope they hear feedback from the community and revert them back to being solely cosmetics. I am nervously optimistic about this game, but I can't wait to play it. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is, hey Sega, send a poor boy a care package? Hey, thanks for watching. Don't you dare subscribe. I hate it when numbers go up, it pisses me off. I'd like to thank my friends Bug and Meg for providing art for this video, as well as every name shown on screen for the footage I used. All original videos are linked in the description.